call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mayor Stone and Councilmember Fickman are absent. Approval of the agenda. We have one addition of 7F, position vacancy. Is there any other changes or additions? Hearing nothing, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brad. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3 in favor, 0 opposed. The minutes, approval of the minutes from the April 29th special meeting. Any corrections to those minutes?
Just the change in the regular meeting to special meeting on the top.
I crossed that out myself, but I didn't address it, so
And that I did attend, only I arrived late. If we can make that change as well.
okay. With those changes, is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 29th, 2026?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, second.
I'll second.
Second by Scott. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 3 in favor, none against, 0 abstentions. And that brings us to the May 6th regular meeting minutes. I didn't see any changes, council.
Looks good.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve May 6th, 2026 regular meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott, second.
I'll second.
Second by Brad. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3 in favor, none against. This is now time for our public open forum. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the council? Okay. If you'd like to, you can approach the stand and just state your name and address, please, for the minutes.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jeff Miller. I live at 117 Morningview Drive, or Morningview Road. I'm one of the 3 main houses that is being affected by the road improvement that's being proposed, and I am in opposition of that road. About 20 years ago, I was right here before the council, and we proposed our case, and we were told by certain council members that there would never be a road put between Highway 71 and our road at Morningview, and that put it to rest. So I'm kind of leaning on that, and so I mean, what I would suggest now is if we could just have a meeting where the council members and the people concerned could get together and we could actually see what's going on. I've been in Arizona the last 4 months, so I'm so far behind on what's developing. And I've heard everything from concrete to gravel to main road to secondary road. I don't know. So I'd like to sit down and visit with some people. So I think if the city is so flush to have this road built, they can send out letters to those of us that are concerned and set up a meeting that we can actually get together and talk about it. Have I got enough time to talk about safety, or am I about ready to get to
You got about a minute left.
Okay. That corner, I don't know if you know where I live on Morningview, but that corner it's treacherous. But I mean, I've lived there for 25 years. We're all used to it. I mean, I used to chew my kids out for not paying attention. Everybody goes screaming. No one. when I taught my granddaughter how to ride a bicycle, I wouldn't let her go past that corner because she would get run over. It's such a treacherous corner that the transmitter there on the corner, not mine, but on the Hascam, they put concrete pylons up because they were so sick of repairing this thing for people missing the corner and hitting the transformer. And then as recently as last fall, someone knocked down my street lamp, or city street lamp, and all of a sudden I look out and I got a street lamp laying in my yard, and I'm going, how did that happen? So, I mean, if we have added traffic coming through, it only, I hope it wouldn't turn my yard into a junk pile, because that's a dire intersection.
Okay.
How am I doing?
I think we're about up, but I appreciate the comments. Thanks,
you.
Jeff. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council? That was the third call. Hearing no one else, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings, so that brings us to reports and presentations. Police Department monthly report.
Good evening, council members. I got the, in your packet there, you look at the April 2026 activity report. Nothing real crazy that sticks out, as far as anything being higher than normal. Grand total was 1,010, which is high. Patrols making 238 of that. A lot of that time was spent at the schools. I'll touch on that again later. Traffic stops, suspicious incidences were at 11. When you look in there, you'll see like the MARC reports. Those MARC reports are human service referrals. Investigations were assisting Stearns County Human Services with either adult protection investigations or juvenile. So we're starting to get more of those. We're doing joint investigations with Stearns County Human Services. So those are up to 5 there. Intoxicated persons 3, juvenile problems 8, and then I'm expecting with the weather getting nicer, we're going to start seeing more of these juvenile problems as the weather gets warmer. In April also we wrapped up, so we got all of our mandated trainings done for the year through the state. So we did our use of force training, some of our less lethal training done, and some of our mental health training done in April as well. During that time too, I went with we had the staff meeting where we just did policy updates where we go through yearly policies that I want to remind the guys of and stuff too, just a good reminder. So I always pick a few at every meeting. We did some of those. As for a little bit more recent events, so a couple weeks ago back, we had the school threats incident. So that took up a bunch of my officer time and resources. We got that call on that Friday afternoon. And then I along with the school board and Donnie had kind of came up with a plan over the weekend how we're going to move forward that following week, which ended up me putting extra cops per their request in the school all week long, doing the bag checks and then just working with them on press releases throughout the week to keep people updated. As a result of that, I was then summoned by the school board and had some meetings with them, and they're looking at wanting us to have more of a presence in the schools next school year. We're gonna have some meetings where the school board's wanting to fund funds from the school to us to have some extra patrols, basically maybe some set hours throughout the week. So we're gonna have more conversations this summer with the school board about how much money and what would that look like and what their expectations would be. So we kind of had that preliminary paragraph. They're going to talk about it with admin, and we're going to re-look at that come probably July-ish to see where we're at. And then obviously last week we were busy with the fire stuff downtown, which worked out real well as far as our response and coordinating with the fire department and state fire marshals. We're still working on that investigation, but we should have that wrapped up here within give me a week or so after the fire marshal gets me his final report. Also, we added that the next thing in there, or the moving forward, try to start my recruitment for a new police officer. So Dan Moldenhauer set his retirement. He's going to be leaving October after 27 years. So basically from here on out until the end of he totally retires, he put all of his PTO, his paid time off, that he's going to be burning up through the summer. Dan worked here 27 years. I can count on two hands how many times he called in sick. And he just really took a lot of vacation. So he's kind of burning up some of that stuff that he's built up. So the summer, we'll be running pretty low on officers as far as any, for the scheduling stuff. He's basically coming down, working 2 to 3 days per week. And which is fine, we got the staff to bounce around throughout the summer. As long as no one gets hurt or no one else would leave, it'd be okay. But we're gonna be running a little thin this summer. So I'm looking towards starting to get that process of recruiting, get the hiring process. So Alec Tech just let out, and there's a bunch of good candidates that just graduated last week. And I would like to get the process started, so if I could possibly get someone around that September 1 time frame, so we have a little overlap, so we can start training at the end of the summer, is kind of my hope. But I want to tap into some of these new recruits coming out, and I got some beads and some other people might be interested also. So I'd just like to get that process rolling and kind of give potential candidates a time frame as far as, hey, if you are interested, this is what we're looking at as far as a time frame. So that's kind of the reasoning for that, where we added that to the agenda tonight.
Okay. Regarding the school hours, does that look like something that you'd pull from the current police force?
So, yeah, so my idea would be, there's a lot of moving parts to it. So yeah, so what we do is, depending how many hours they'd want and the funds available, my idea is if they let us know how many hours they want per week, or we would staff it with, current officers working. So there'd be some stuff with the contract and stuff, how we'd work that out. I wouldn't have the staff to do a full-time school resource officer, and they're aware of that, and I made that very clear. But it all depends how much money they'd like to allocate towards it. Depending on the amount of money and how many hours a week and what their expectations were, we could staff it. There's a lot of things we'd have to work out, but I feel confident that we could make something work on both ends. So like I said, we'll see where they come with, what they have for funds.
Any questions?
Good.
Nope.
Good.
Thanks. That brings us to our Public Works Department report, 6B.
So for the street department, the items completed this last month, if you've noticed, both flashing crosswalk signs are installed, the one on Ash by the public school and the one at St. Clair Lewis by Holy Family. They've been programmed and they are operational. The road patching has started with their fines, and they'll be ongoing over several weeks as product is available. The plants are starting to ramp up, so we'll be starting to get some asphalt a couple days a week. They did install the temporary speed sign on Hickman Drive, so that is collecting data on how fast people are going along there by the campground. They did some storm sewer repair, was completed on 1st Street North. We have an additional one needed on 3rd Street North. The street sweeping has been completed. They do the first round throughout the city. As summer comes, they continue to do that off and on throughout, depending on what happens, but they've done their first run. Crack filling project was completed. We're waiting to be placed on the schedule for the seal coating and the slurry seal on Ash Street. And the road repair south of Felling Trailers is going to be completed sometime in the next few weeks. This involves some curb removal and replacement, so there's some work south of Felling. I guess it's on that road there by Felling. The park department had all the sprinklers turned on. We did have some repairs to heads and sprinkler lines. That's very normal. All the bathrooms were open, cleaned, and we made all those repairs. They replaced the concrete at the park shed. That was the apron along the front of the building and the end of the building. And then they did the tar patching between the parking lot and that new concrete. They got the new fence up and the gate at the community garden. And the campground was open for the season. We did have a water line break after it was turned on. That's been repaired. All the trees were trimmed and the parking pads, they thatched the grass, got that all ready, so everybody is kind of moved in. They did pour concrete in the middle pad for that Adirondack chair, that big one that the Rotary is donating, so that should be arriving shortly. They did trim all the small brush and trees along the shoreline. It was getting kind of high and people were watching for the fireworks and they were looking through the little willows, so they kind of trimmed those down. And the splash pad is up and running. We did have our inspection this last week. Everything went good. It will be in operation over the weekend, but I don't know if it's going to be really warm enough to do a whole lot. The fountain has been painted. The statue was installed, filled with water. That's going, operating, and the docks are in, so they pretty much got that spring rush behind them. Our summer mowing guy has started, so he's been going through doing all the mowing, and they'll be working probably more on street stuff now going forward.
Okay. Any questions about Public Works report? Anything Airport Board report?
So the airport, they just do the update on the finalization of that federal and state grant for that land purchase project. They did have an inspection report on the hangar project. They had some recommended changes, and that's the big hangar that they're building right now, so they're looking at that. The CIP was updated to include the newly mandated FAA requirements for runway from taxiway access. Right now, we taxi out straight to the runway, and they want us to have like a jog. So as soon as the FAA, we had to update it to include that, but they haven't told us by what year, so we'll slide up and down that CIP schedule depending on the year we need to do it. And then we're doing the continued planning on the car show and the fly-in, which is at the airport on July 19th. That is the Sunday of Sinclair Lewis Days. So we're getting pretty good, it looks like there'll be pretty good participation. So we haven't had a fly-in there since we shut the runway down to do repairs. We did it prior and then we never brought it back. So this will be another added event to Sinclair Lewis Days.
Good to hear. Thanks, Vicki. Any questions? Okay, that moves us to our action item 7A, approve resolution 2026-40, appointing election judges.
So we have the following persons have agreed to serve as election judges for the Minnesota primary and federal general elections. They're August 11th and November 3rd. Those who sign up to be judges through their political party must be utilized prior to the other judges according to Minnesota statute. So that first section are people that signed up through their political party, and then the bottom section are the ones that we've used before, the trained judges. So what we're doing now is going through that top list, because a lot of times they'll sign up and they're like, they don't realize what it involves, and so they bow out, but we're still working through that. So the people that have signed up with their political party are Jill Abasan, Patricia Engen, Robert Hammer, Christine Bainan, Janice Bonsick, Christopher Julesgaard, Tammy Pribula, Benny Schmidt, and Elizabeth Wiener. And then those of us that have served in the past, myself, Diane Basil, Wendy Drobny, Sandra Fredericks, Jacqueline Kirkhoff, Melissa Kleinschmidt, Sarah Thompson, Amy Trisco, and Nicole Vogt. So obviously, we're not going to be using all of these judges. I'm just required to use that top piece first. So if I have a bunch of those that want, then those at the bottom will be kicked to the curb, I guess is what you want to say. So what we're looking to do is to approve the resolution 2026-40, appointing the election judges for the 2026 primary and general elections.
Okay. Any questions, or do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, is there a second? I'll second. I can second, right, Vicki?
Yes.
Okay. I've been quiet too much tonight. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3 in favor, none against. 7B, approve request of Sauk Center Chamber for usage of park streets for Sinclair Lewis Days.
So as every year, the chamber does request use of our parks for the purpose of Sinclair Lewis Days. So their events this year, they're requesting to close the Park Road and the use of Sinclair Lewis Park on Friday, July 17th from 5 p.m. to dusk. This is for a DJ on the trailer by the shelter for the kids band, and then there'll be a beer garden by the American Legion and the Kiddie Parade. And this is the night of the fireworks. And they're looking for food vendors for the use of the Sinclair Lewis parking lot that same evening, and fireworks to close Park Road and the boat landing for that fireworks permit as also from 5 p.m. to dusk on that day. For Crazy Days, the use of the downtown sidewalks on Thursday, July 16th, Friday, July 17th, and Saturday, July 18th. So this will be sidewalk only. We're not closing the street for that. The Craft Fair and Family Fun Festival, again, closing the Park Road and use of the park and the parking lot for Saturday, July 18th from 7:30 to 4. And then also that same day, beginning at 7 to 10, they're going to have a chipped time 5K and 1 mile run. So they're using the trail, and they're closing one lane of Hickman Drive and Lakeview Drive for that 5K. And then also the parade route, and that is the same parade route as we've used in prior years, and you do have that in your packet. So what we're looking to approve the uses as requested, including the road closures and the parade route.
Okay, are there any questions about this request? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brad. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3 in favor, none against. 7C, approve resolution 2026-41, accepting bid for Authors Edition Phase 2 project.
So bids were opened for the 2026 capital improvement, which is Authors Phase 2, on Thursday, May 14th at 11 a.m. We had the bids, you have them listed in front of you. We had 8 bids. The low bid was Latour Construction at $962, $241.75. Goes all the way up through the high bid of Land Pride Construction of $1,476,743.45. And the engineer has reviewed the bids for completeness, has found them to be in order. And then you do have the letter from the city engineer there, and you do have all of the bids detail in your packet as well. So we have Resolution 26-41, awarding the bid for the 2026 CIP project to Latour Construction, Inc.
Any questions regarding this? I have just one question about Latour. We've never worked with them before, have we?
We have not had Latour as one of our major contractors
Okay.
up till now.
Are they,
They have bid before.
Oh, they have.
And the engineers worked with them.
Worked with them in the past.
Yeah.
It's been a few years, but
okay,
they were solid.
so not a new company, but,
No, not.
okay.
They've tried, they've bid on some of our other projects. This is the first one they've been successful to be the low bidder.
Okay. Waiting. I know you've had some concerns regarding this project, so if you want to voice your opinion before we get to a motion.
I'm going to vote against it, to be honest with you, because I've been opposed to moving this project forward for consecutive year after year after year with large CapEx expenditure and construction. And I just feel take a year off, try to get ourselves back onto a more financially manageable timeframe. So that's how I feel about it.
By financially manageable, what does that look like if taking a year off and next year the bids come in considerably higher?
I
We
would.
keep kicking the can down the road.
So the question more comes to what's our long-term construction plan than just one project. That's what I look at. I'm looking at 25, 24, 23. Now we're at 26. We got a huge 7 million projects in 2027. We got a $17 million project by the time it's done in 2028, starting through 2029. That's like, you do the math, about 8 consecutive years of huge projects. I'm not in favor of spending that kind of money. That's my theory.
So if looking ahead in the council packet, we have 2 lots available, what's currently available. In the already preconceived idea that we had planned this, the EDA had planned this for years to make this a phased-in project. We stop now, and then what happens when people are looking for property, wanting to build and add to our property base?
I would tell you that there's additional lots other than just these 2 in the city. If you look around, there's got to be more than 2 lots in this entire city to build it.
In the city limits, I can't think of more than 2.
Or potential developers that are willing to invest the money rather than the city invest the money to build and develop areas for people to build in. I never, in my experience, envisioned the city being a developer. That's just not the norm. I mean, for this council, it's been a norm. And I know Vicki has noted in past meetings that it has been a transition and a change in cities moving in that direction, but I don't support it. And so I would rather see a developer come in, the city work with the developer, have the developer do the project and the city do the project, and the city being the seller, the city being the developer. That's private entity. We are a public entity. That's how I feel about it. You still have enough people to vote, and you still will pass it, but that's just my feelings about it.
Yeah, the only problem is there's nobody that wants to come in and develop anymore because of,
That is true. And in this particular one, it's structured so that we do an interfund loan to ourselves and it's paid back through the sales of the lots. So we're not involving any tax dollars to do this project. And the reason we started into it was because people wanted lots and there weren't out there any. And we went to different developers, worked with some extensively, and then they just never could get across the finish line because there wasn't enough profit in it for them. Freeport's recently done it, Melrose has done it, Avon has done it. Avon got kind of forced into it years ago when things happened in 2008 that weren't too favorable, but now they came out of that okay. So we got kind of into this, encouraged into this by some pretty good donations initially. And so now we just kind of keep rolling with it. We keep getting inquiries, and so we just propose this to go forward. The EDA will be looking at the pricing structure of the lots. But as looking at that, we're pretty confident that the sale of the lots will completely pay for this. It'll be self-sustaining. The thing is we have to carry it as the lots are sold. It took us 2 years to sell the last plat out. And we didn't dream that we would be this far along already. We thought maybe we'd do phase 1 and maybe in 4 years do phase 2. But then all of a sudden phase 1 sold out. And people are still asking. So the EDA recommended moving forward and taking this step. So that's why we're here now.
Yep. Fair. It's just a different view, everybody has a different perspective, and we're entitled to that as
And
council.
many years ago, the cities never were developers because there were developers there that wanted to do it.
Exactly.
Because there was money in it for them, And we even had a developer we worked with, we're gonna give him tax increment financing, so we weren't gonna get any tax base for 25 years. But at least here, we start getting the tax base back right away. So that was kind of,
That's true.
I think, what the EDA was looking at. We do the investment now, it pays itself back with lot sales, and we get the tax base right away as houses start to build. So there was a lot of pros and cons and a lot of conversation that went into getting it moving forward.
Yep. And I would not be opposed to doing it. It's just my concern is more about consecutive timing, year after year after year, significant capital investment.
Right.
That's my biggest concern about the whole thing. Do we need lots? Yeah, I'm sure we do. So that's my thoughts.
And I can appreciate that. I mean, looking at it from the side of a capital improvement project being about developing property versus infrastructure and existing roads, two different mindsets, I think, is what EDA and what council is looking at or have looked at in the past. So I can appreciate that. I guess if there's no other discussion, Scott, do you have any other questions?
No.
Vicki, do we need a majority of the full council or a quorum of the quorum? A majority of the quorum.
The
Yeah.
majority of those present.
Okay,
That's right.
then I will be looking for a motion. Actually, I would like to make the motion.
I think you can.
I think I can. I have in the past.
Okay.
I will make the motion to approve the bid for Latour Construction of $962,241.75 as part of Resolution 2026-41. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Scott. In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
2 in favor, 1 opposed. Motion passes. 7E, approved pay request number 6, Keekly Underground.
So this, oh, wait. You did D. Oh, did you skip D?
7D, yeah.
DPS lease renewal.
Oh, I'm sorry, I crossed it out without even reading, I'm sorry. 7D, approve lease renewal with DPS for Civic Arena.
So the Minnesota Department of Public Safety has rented space in the Civic Arena for many years for drivers testing. They've requested a 5-year renewal. They use a facility on Wednesdays for written tests and 1 Wednesday per month for driver testing. They were paying $585 per quarter for about the last 12 years, and so we recommended $750 a quarter, given that the rent hasn't been raised. And so we're looking to approve that lease renewal with DPS for 5 years at $750 per quarter.
Is this, Was this part of our schedule? No, because this isn't it's just an annual fee or a contract agreement that we've had.
No, this is just a lease agreement we had with them,
Okay.
separate. They used to be, years ago, they were at the Armory, and then when the Armory remodeled, we let them go up to the arena, and they decided they would prefer to stay there.
I guess I don't have any issue, any questions from council?
Are they gonna have any concern with the increase? I can't hardly believe it.
Are they concerned with the increase?
Yeah,
No, I think they were just happy they had 585 for all those years.
okay, that's what I figured, all right.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the lease renewal with DPS for 5 years at $750 per quarter?
Also,
Motion by Brad, is there a second?
One second.
Second by Scott. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3 in favor, none against, motion approved. Now we can move to 7E, pay request number 6, Keekly Underground.
So this is pay request number 9. This is for our 2025 Birch Pine project. Just kind of, you can go through the contract amount and what the revised contract was. So the revised contract was $5,022,000, or $22,235.83. We've completed to date $4,874,963. So we're just about to the finish line, although there is a retainage that we hold that we'll have to pay out. So what we're looking for this request is $10,091.91.
I had one question that I asked Vicky about earlier, just to clarify that largest change order for Canna Avenue was covered partially by the developer and the EDA. So just wanted to let the council know that, remind them.
Yeah, there was 2 change orders. The one was that storm line on Pine Street by the old City Hall, and then the Canna Avenue.
I do have a question in regards to the project. When are we gonna address the steps in front of the church? We can't, that's still,
Keith is having a staff report on addressing the last project when you get down to updates, I think, in 8A. So he'll talk about,
Okay.
you can ask him that then, I think.
Okay,
well, is this part of that cost? This change order doesn't impact any cost to finish that steps or anything that we gotta redo, is it?
The redo won't be,
We know.
that's not our cost.
Okay, that's why I just wanted to make sure, all right.
okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to approve pay request number 9 to Keekly Underground for $10,091.91?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Scott, I'll second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 3 in favor, none against. 7F, our addition, physician vacation, Sauk Center PD.
And this was what Joe had referred to earlier, that they do have an upcoming vacancy due to retirement, and he's requesting to bring the process of recruitment, having position filled and on the road, like coming in about the September. So we'd actually maybe do the hiring in July, which allows for exams. They have physical exam, they have psychological exam, a lot of other things like that have to happen. So what we're looking tonight is we're not hiring anybody tonight, we're just beginning that recruitment process and getting the word out there.
You are looking for action from us to do that?
Well, general consent just to take the next steps.
I do have some questions for Joe then.
Okay.
Can I?
Yep,
All right.
sorry.
No, you're good. I didn't want to step over here. Couple questions, Joe. First of all, you mentioned earlier about the potential of doing some additional time at the school. And I did hear you mention the fact that you were hoping to be able to do that internally, which makes me feel better, to be honest, which I'm happy to hear, because I was going to ask you the question in regards to filling this position if it was necessary. And the reason I'm asking that is we have 8 or 9 full-time officers outside of yourself. How many?
So there's 8 total, and then myself is number 9. Yep.
Okay. And how long have we had that many officers?
Oh, let's see, so we added our 9th. If I've been 9, I've about maybe 4 years, 3-4 years, when we pretty much axed, when we completely axed the part-time. Yeah. So it's probably about 4 years. So probably about 4 years is when we we had to make some decisions. We were losing our butt on the, trying to do the part-time thing. We'd train someone in part-time, and then they'd be gone. So that's why we crunched the numbers, and it was cheaper, it made more sense to no more part-time, and then add this other position in.
So the reason that you went to an additional officer was because had part-times, and we had part-times because they were, what, we added more shifts, or we were reducing overtime, or what changed from all of the hours that we worked for a long, long time with 7, 6 officers to then, you know, an 8th officer and now a 9th officer, because it used to be our chief used to be on the street quite a bit. You probably still are, I don't know that. But the question I'm asking you is what's the right number for Sauk Center? You know, is it 9, is it 10, is it 6?
I think, well, let's put it this way, so like, if, like right now, 9's a good manageable number. Right now it's set up, so I got 4 shifts. So I got my day shift, I got what I call a flex shift, which works, they'll typically come in around 10, 11 in the morning. I got my power shift, I get my midnight shift. So in the past, if someone would take a day off, or someone have training or sick or have court, we'd have, when I started working here, I mean, we had 5, 6 guys on the part-time roster that you could pick and choose from, that they would fill in those spots. The way it's structured now is if someone takes a day off or someone calls in sick, we basically are just shifting people up. So we're moving people up, moving people down to cover the shifts, so we have adequate coverage, so we still have that, try to have 2 guys on majority of the day, which is really important. So, and that includes myself. So like, for example, today, 2 guys took off. 1 guy sick, 1 guy had planned vacation. So I covered the day shift because I have, and my plan was I was gonna work day shift all day today and then have Officer Mormon come in later in the evening to cover the evening shift, and then Mark Grinstead, who's normally a night shift guy, there's a lot to this, was working the midnight shift. Well, then I had a death in the family, I got a funeral tomorrow. So now I'm down to 2 guys tomorrow. So I called Norman back and said, can you come in and work today till 8 o'clock when Mark comes in? So then when Mark comes in, you go home, go to bed, get up, and you're gonna be back at 7 a.m. So I can make it to my uncle's funeral in the morning. If we go down to, if we wouldn't replace Dan's position, it's like, it'll be a prime example this summer. It's manageable for a couple months, the guys are willing to suck it up. But if I consistently screwed with their schedules, and then you're working days this day and night that day, I won't keep guys. I just won't. I mean, there's other agencies where you don't have to do that type of thing. We got a good crew. Like I said, our guys are really more willing to do it. I don't know on a schedule side of things how I could manage it in the long run to keep retention. I'm working, you asked if I'm on the road. Yeah, I work every day. I'm here at 6. I go home at 5 or 6 o'clock every night. And I'm out there humping calls. And I'm fine doing that. I like working the road yet. I still like doing the admin stuff. But I don't have an answer if we don't fill Dan's spot of keeping morale up on the long term if I keep. What I'm seeing with the younger generation is when I started working 20 years ago, you guys paid me a lot of overtime because I was willing to work it. I mean, because we're short and I like the money. I'm surprised my wife didn't divorce me. This generation, they don't care as much about the overtime. They want their time off. And that's what I'm seeing when I'm hiring these guys is the number one question is, well, how much time off do we get? It's for me, it's weird because I'm thinking, boy, when I first started, I'd take that money. So like my thing is the time off's important to this newer workforce coming out.
So is it your goal is to always have 2 officers or 3 officers on at a given time?
You need to.
So my goal is, my goal is 2 officers on. You know, there's a period of time at 3 or 4 in the morning, depending on how the shifts align. Our midnight cars by themselves, so 3 till 6 when I come in. But this day and age, 2-officer response is extremely important. And there's a couple different reasons why it's important for us to have 2 on Sauk Center. One trip, if we arrest somebody, someone goes to jail, minimum, it's gonna be 2 to 2.5 hours that officer takes to get to St. Cloud booking. If St. Cloud PD's got 4 guys in front of us in the jail, they could be sitting in that Sally Port for 2 hours. And then there's no one here. When there's no one here, most of the time there's no one working down the road right now. We're the only ones out here, and there's 1 west deputy. So I don't feel comfortable, and I don't like it when the town's unprotected for that long. Most of the time, if there is one guy working, like tonight, if Mark has to bring someone to jail, he'll tell them to dispatch if a call comes in to call my cell phone, and I'll get out of bed and come to take the call if it's an emergency. You know, if it's something silly, it can wait. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is, 2-officer response to calls are extremely important. Prime example last week with the fire. I had 2 officers running into burning building. If I have 1 officer running the burning building and all of a sudden he's not coming out or something goes south, he doesn't have a partner to back him up. You know, since I've been working in this area, I've lost 2 people I know personally murdered in the line of duty. You know, Tommy Decker and out in Pope County. I know those guys personally, so it's important. Like I said, things can turn south. Another thing, not just officer safety, public safety too. If you got 2 officers it might not even be someone going to jail. It could be something with a mental health crisis where we need to go hands-on. It's much safer for 2 officers to go hands-on. You don't have to use some of these tools on our belt to harm them more. So a lot of times if we have a mental health call, which we run into a lot more than we probably do as far as criminals, where we gotta get them to a squad car so we get them to the hospital and they're resisting us. Much easier for Mark Grinstead and Matt Mormon to grab them each arm and basically put them in there. But if you just got 1 person and they're fired up, there's a bunch of reasons. And I understand that, like some people, well, 2 cops working in Sauk Center, that seems like a little overkill. I can tell you, I've been on the side of the road fighting for 15, 20 minutes back in my younger day. And when you're waiting for a deputy to come from St. Joe, 20 minutes when you're laying on the ground with somebody, that sucks, and that's a crappy feeling.
Yeah. I don't think, my question isn't necessarily about should 2 people be on law enforcement change. People have changed. A lot of things have changed to make that make most sense. Safety, well, there's a gazillion reasons. Yep. I don't question that. But I will say that Sauk Center for your first 15 years here didn't have 2 officers on constantly. Nope. We had a floater, a full-time floater, and there was shifts. Not saying we go backwards. That's not what I'm saying. My only questioning is if we have 3 officers on, or if we have greater numbers, and the common theme for many, many years has been proactive placing, I think is the correct terminology that you have used multiple times. And when I see 3 officers on and 1,500 calls a month, then I start to question what's proactive.
Right.
Okay? And that's why I'm asking the questions. I support you going out and finding another officer. I do. I'm behind you on that. I just want us to making sure that burnout is a big thing, and I am totally on board with that. The last thing we want is safety being, of concern. Your officers did fantastic the other night at the fire. I mean, that was great. I think we've had this conversation, a number of times, and my concern has always been is we don't have to be the protector for the entire west half of Stearns County. We have to take care of Sauk Center.
Yep.
And it's kind of, I don't use a bad word, but it sucks because there isn't no other cities that are growing in law enforcement. Sauk Center does seem to be the city to call to if someone needs backup, if someone needs a hand. I mean, we have one of the biggest counties populated, and then we have one person way out here on western, the west end of the county, one deputy, going all the way to Bruton, for crying out loud. They ain't gonna support you, you know what I mean? So,
No, I get it.
so anyways, thank you for your
Melrose,
service.
To put some perspective, Melrose just added another officer, so they just added a position this year too. We're doing the backgrounds for them, Dusty's doing those backgrounds for their agency, so they're hiring too, right now, in the process of it. So that'll help, definitely too, like, because we're gonna rely on them this summer too, when we're running a little bit short, if we need a second car, we're gonna be relying on them too this summer, so that Chief Mouse is kind of in the same boat we are, is like, yeah, we are the most consistent, and then like you said too, 15 years ago, we also relied on the state patrol, they had a dog watch car.
That's true.
Now this area doesn't have what they call an overnight car. I'm not gonna announce publicly what time the troopers go home, but
Yeah.
most of the night there isn't a trooper in the area for that backup. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, when we touched earlier about, the school talking about us manning some hours, I made it clear to them too, like, cause we're in there, like, we're in the school a few hours a day already, and they still want some more. And like I explained to them is, when my guys are in the school right now, if a call comes in, we gotta have them clear for it. If we have an extra officer, someone in there working extra detail, they're married to that school bar, a really crazy situation, so.
Yeah.
I told them I can't guarantee, unless they would throw some funds at us, that I can consistently have someone in there. And so that's a conversation we're gonna have, like I said, in July. But yeah, my goal here is, like I said, I kinda got a bead on a couple good candidates, and they're kinda looking at me like, well, yeah, we'd like to make a run or, maybe come work for you. We're just kinda looking for a time frame. So my time frame would be is I'd like to interview them in the next few weeks, but then that background process, so it takes a while. So, through the month of June, Sergeant Van Walde would be doing that background process. And then my goal would be to come to you guys sometime in maybe July, maybe that first meeting in August with, this is who we'd like to get on the road. And I'm looking at that September 1st, just so we have time to get them integrated before Dan leaves in October.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, and I guess you mentioned that we can do a consent, general
General
consent.
consent, yeah.
Okay, if we have a general consent to move forward?
Yep.
All right. And then that brings us to unfinished business, city engineer project updates.
Good evening, acting mayor and council. Well, we'll start with the last year's project, 2025. There's a question that Brad had on those. That project, as you know, we've talked about some concrete issues that we've had out there. We are actually meeting with the contractor and the concrete supplier on Friday morning on site and be looking at the issues that we see out there and coming up with a resolution. Essentially, they have to come up with a resolution to remedy those situations. So I'll have more to announce after we have that meeting, but that is Friday morning. Other than that, we'll get started shortly thereafter on actually doing those remedies and starting to finalize and get that project buttoned up, and any last seeding that has to be done, reseeding, those kinds of things. The last lift of paving still needs to be done, so those are the things that are to be done on that project, as well as the church and doing that, those final steps and the final pavement in front of there. So that will be on that list to get completed for that. I think that's most things with that project.
Are you communicating with the church just so that they know?
Yeah, I haven't yet,
Timelines?
but I will do that soon to meet with them and to tell them what's, as soon as I kind of know a little bit of a schedule, because that'll be the first thing they'll ask, is when that will occur. So
Thanks.
I'll get that on Friday and get with them. On the new project, we are basically churning through that at the moment. A week from today, actually, we're scheduled to be in the bypass road, looking at wetland delineation out through there. So we'll identify where the wetlands are at in that low area through there. So that's next scheduled for next Wednesday. Otherwise, we're working on the design for mostly focusing on 71 corridor and immediately the roadways adjacent to it. We did meet with MnDOT now a couple times, and we now have a consensus where our utilities in the 71 corridor need to be, and that's important for us because we need to start from that to sort of move out into the side streets. So now that we have that, that's what we're working on. So I put together a preliminary design for the 71, because as you know, that's phase 2, but we had to kind of start sort of at the back end and work our way forward. So we've got that, and now we're working forward with the phase 1, and that's moving forward. We're making actually pretty good strides so far on that project. So that's where that one's at the moment. I think that's an author's edition. Obviously, you just approved that one, so we'll get contracts out in pre-construction meeting and get that project rolling as soon as we can. Well, obviously, it depends on the contractor's schedule, which I haven't talked to them yet on that, so we'll see where they go. But I have worked with Latour, as I mentioned in the past. They were a fine, reputable company. They have worked in the area somewhat recently. I know we've had them on a couple projects down in, I think they did one in Albany, I believe, recently. So they've been in the area, but they've been around a lot of years. They're a good, respectable contractor. So I think with that, I'll ask if you have any questions of me.
Questions? Scott?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
8B, author's edition lot sales.
So this is just the update on the existing authors phase 1, and there's 2 lots remaining. You can see all the ones that we have sold, and we have those last 3 are pending. They have to go to closing yet, but they've signed the purchase agreement and paid the earnest money. I was out there last week, and there was 3 cement trucks, three driveways being poured, a roof being put on one house, walls going up on the other house. It was just chaos. So I'm like, oh boy. So hopefully going forward, they'll spread out a little bit. I mean, it was really, really congested, but it was kind of exciting to see that happening and to see all those new homes going in. So that, like, going forward from here, though, the EDA will be looking at the next phase and what the pricing structure will look like, and hopefully we'll sell these last 2 lots, although they have some challenges on them, so they may sit there for a while. I don't know. But I have nothing really other to report on that other than that those last ones are sitting at the closing company now, just waiting for the closing to occur.
Okay. We have no new business this evening, so that moves us to our consent agenda. Schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $251,631.34. Unpaid claims of 0 for a total of the same. We have April checks for $439,770.18. This time of year, by June 30th, the liquor licenses are up for renewal, and to date, the following applicants have the appropriate paperwork completed and fee paid. That would be Babbitt's Wine Bar LLC, Next Door Bar and Lounge, Pied Piper DBA Bear Trap, Mustang Bar 3, Old Course Sauk Center, Mezcal LLC, American Legion Post 67, Palmer House Minnesota LLC, Crazy J's Bar and Grill, Westside Liquor, Walmart Incorporated, and Sisters Beer, Wine, and Spirits. Also this time of year, the on-off sale for 3-2 beer licenses are up for renewal. To date, the following applicants have submitted the appropriate paperwork and fee paid for the 3-2 sale for Isaac's North Star Incorporated, Coburn's, Sauk Center Travel Plaza Incorporated, and Jitters Java Cafe Incorporated. The last of these licenses is cigarette licenses, and to date, the following applicants have the appropriate paperwork completed and fee paid, and that would be Next Door Bar and Lounge, Westside Liquor, Mustang Bar 3, Coburn's, Sauk Center Fleet Supply, Casey's General Store, Isaac's North Star Incorporated, Walmart Incorporated, Sauk Center Travel Plaza Incorporated, Northdale Oil Incorporated, Sisters Beer, Wine, and Spirits, Holiday Station Stores Incorporated, Crazy J's Bar and Grill, Sauk Center Tobacco LLC, and Sauk Center Tobacco Incorporated. 10F, we have a gambling application for exempt permit request from the Sauk Center Lions Club for pull tabs for July 29th through August 1st, 2026, and a raffle for August 1st, 2026 at the Stearns County Fairgrounds. We also have a temporary extension of premise permit and road closure for Sinclair Lewis Day Street Dance on July 18th, 2026. The road closure request is a 2-block area from Main Street at the stoplights to Elm Street from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. and closed 1 block from Main to Oak Street from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. Eric Kellerman plans to close the road at 6 a.m. for the car show and street dance and reopen at 3 a.m. following cleanup. The fenced area will be from the Palmer House across to Geierman's and at the intersection of Elm Street. Also, a partial closure of Oak Street from Sinclair Lewis Avenue up to the alley on both sides of the street till 4 p.m. for the car show. The car show street dance road closure permit will be sent to Jody, is it Teich? Sorry.
It's not Jody anymore, she's retired.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
county engineer.
County, oh, thank you. At the county after council approval. We have a request from Eric Hellerman doing business as Next Door Bar and Lounge, the 8th LLC, for temporary extension of premise permits for a 17th anniversary party with music on August 1st, 2026 in the back parking lots behind Next Door and the food shelf from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. An assembly permit request from Deb Holt for Corpus Christi procession to be held on June 7th, 2026 at St. Paul's. About 200 people are expected to attend. The procession will be from St. Paul's Church down Birch Street to Our Lady of Angels Church and back down Ash Street. We have a request from Melissa Terry's doing business as Mustang Bar 3 Incorporated for a temporary extension of premise permit for anniversary and band on August 29th, 2026 in the back parking lot behind Meats in the old Main Street Drug Building from 8:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Last, we have a gambling application for exempt permit request from the Sauk Center Area Chamber of Commerce for a raffle for July 12th, 2026 at the American Legion Post 67. Any questions about the consent agenda?
Fantastic job.
I lost my voice after that one.
My only one question about all of the license and the permits, 3 a.m., is that normal? Are we been doing 3 a.m.? It seems late.
The 3 a.m. that's for the cleanup to be done by, but the music has to stop at, I think, 12:30.
12:30.
12:30? Okay, just so everybody, okay. Fair enough, thank you.
Okay. If no other questions, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brad. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 3 in favor, none against. We have no informational items, so that brings us to.
charter?
Sorry?
No charter?
I know, no spectrum lineup change. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion by Brad, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.